Hey everyone, my name is Andrew Davis, and you're watching Conversations in Pop Culture. And yes, I am Scandalous like an Ashley, and I have with me cosplayer Rob Ez Cosplay. So welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to have you on. Obviously, I like a bunch of your cosplays, and we get into a few of those, but I am curious before we get into too much on who, why don't you figure out how to just quickly introduce who you are before we get into some of your cosplays and a bunch of other stuff? Because there's people who probably do know who you are, but there's people who don't. And a quick introduction of who you are before we dive into everything that you've done, because you got some really interesting cosplays, to say the least.
Yeah, thank you very much. So my name's first name's Robert, but you can call me Rob or Rob. Use my tag if you want. So I'm in Houston, from Houston, Texas. Been cosplaying since 2015, um, and yeah, I've been pretty much going. I love going to cons. I love going to traveling around the state of Texas, and yeah, it's just really fun to interact and be with uh, like-minded people that just love many types of either video games or anime or
So,
what
so, so
have you.
let's talk about this a little bit because obviously, if you've been cosplaying since 2015,
Mm-hmm.
how'd you get involved in cosplay? Because everybody has a different way how they've gotten into cosplay,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody's journey into it is a little bit different. So, how did you get involved in the whole cosplay world and scene and all that stuff?
Yeah, so I've always been like when I was little, I would used to always dress up for Halloween, every year, and like coming out through preschool and elementary school and all that stuff. But I never really got into or figured out what cosplay exactly was until I'd say about I was in my teenage years around let's say 2008 or something when I had seen something about San Diego Comic Con and I just saw like all of these people with in like many different types of costumes and it was just amazing. I couldn't believe it at first when I first saw it. So I always had thought in my mind that I would try and do something like that one day. So eventually went through uh, college and stuff after I graduated high school, and my university, Texas A&M Kingsville, we had a sort of a local con going on called Gato Con. So it was let's see, it was an acronym. So it stood for gaming, anime, trading cards, and otaku stuff. Um, so pretty much with all that, it was just like a local con. Everybody got together, and that's when I saw people cosplaying again. So I was like, wow, I really want to now. I really want to be more motivated and get into this. So I'd say around I was in between uh, semesters at the time, and I was taking like a year off just to build up my savings and whatnot. And that's when I finally first got together some parts of my cosplay, which I had just decided my first cosplay would be of Monkey D. Luffy from One Piece, and that's when I started getting everything together for him, and I figured I would go with a couple of my friends to an anime convention that was going on in San Antonio called San Japan. Uh, so back in 2015, it was San Japan 8-bit, I believe. So that was like one of the first big conventions I ever went to in Texas, or pretty much ever. So that's when I pretty much wore my Luffy cosplay all 3 days. So it was really
Yes.
neat.
So let's talk about that because
Yeah.
obviously One Piece, everybody knows One Piece.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what was that like? Because even what was like building this out and creating this like, because again, it's always that first one that is sometimes the hardest or the most complicated because, well, it's your first one you're doing something with. And so, what
Mm-hmm.
was that like piecing it together or building it or even creating it? Because I hate to say it, I'm going to say it the nice way I could say it, but like it's kind of like trial by fire might be the way to put it.
Yeah. So I think it. it's a lot easier when you have someone you love, like you like him as a favorite character. He's like one of your favorite characters. And then the other thing is, how lofty of a cosplay could it be? Like with him, for example, he's just in a vest with shorts and sandals and straw hat, obviously. So, it's not too difficult of a cosplay just to get like things together and um, just buy different things here and there with whatever you have, and then just I feel like just putting everything together just makes it all worth it. And I was just amazed at like how many um, people complimented me on my cosplay, because the vest I had gotten for him, it was kind of a little more formal than what he usually has. So it's kind of interesting that people were talking, oh, he looks a little like a little more of a formal Luffy compared to he usually is. But yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and obviously, I want to talk about. We're going to talk about a few other One Piece stuff you've done. You've done a
Hmm.
bunch of anime stuff, but I am curious because obviously, going beyond this first one, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in cosplay that's really interesting and tricky to navigate, and I'm curious how you navigate it. Where balancing material costs, finding materials, balancing even replacements for those material costs. Obviously, I don't know if you do wigs or you buy wigs or you style wigs, but that's a whole different skill. I am not a cosplayer. I have no desire to do it. It just seems really hard. It just seems really hard, and it's not for me to cosplay. But how do you handle all that? Because that stuff can add up to be really expensive. It could also be challenging, and it's also time. And then there's a whole massive debate. I know I'm throwing a lot at you in this question, but there's a whole massive debate also about building something yourself and then just buying it,
Hmm.
because that's also because sometimes just buying something is cheaper than building it. So how do you figure out and handle all of that?
I guess you just take it piece by piece. So like for example, this wig I have on right now, I just bought it. It just came with the Link cosplay I had originally from Meat Costumes, I think. And I just it's really cool because I just have to style it, just like a certain way, or just take like a wig brush or whatever, and you know, I can use it for this cosplay, Link, or I can use it for Sanji, for example. I'll use it for this too. So it all depends on um, what kind of wigs you get and how uh, creative you want to be as far as like reusing them or stuff like that. But I'd say going back to the cost, I really always try and find like good deals on the bundles and whatnot. I always try to find, what can I make myself, or what can I maintain myself, as opposed to well, I was have to end up buying it because I can't really mess with uh, foam or warbler or whatever. You know what I mean? So it honestly just depends on you. It can it can get pretty expensive, but I'd say I always tell people just start out with something that's comfortable, that that um, it'll be like cheaper for you in the long run, and you'll you'll reuse it as well, because that also goes a long way into um, investing in your cosplay as far as long term goes. So.
See, I find this interesting, right? Because, obviously, I don't think it's a secret, as I was stating before, is that cosplay could be really, really expensive really quickly.
Hmm.
Um, and, we've seen it. And then obviously, even just figuring out how to navigate it, because anytime you do a hobby and you do anything of that nature, it just can be expensive. So I find that to be fascinating. And then also to go even further, I mean, there's also another debate that I'm curious versing, which is now, I think, in the forefront. It's functionality and
Hmm.
comfortability, I guess, if that's a word. If it's not, we all know what I'm talking about, versus being, I guess, perfectly accurate. And how do you even balance that? Because your cosplays seem like they're comfortable, right?
Hmm.
And they seem like you can actually sit at a con in your cosplays. But I'm sure you've seen it. And I haven't been to a con in about 6 years, but when I was back doing cons 6, 7 years ago, there were cosplayers who couldn't sit down. And so, and I don't know if that, I think that's changed, but what is that like for you? Because your cosplays in particular relatively seem like you could sit down in them and not have to stand for 10 hours, for lack of a better word.
Right, exactly. I always try and tell people, I always stress like, you want to be as comfortable as you possibly can be. I always try and go like, just to give you like a ballpark number, like 85% accurate with my cosplays. The, the rest of the 15 can be just, I have different shoes on, or I have different pants on, or, stuff like that. Because I will use like some like my own clothing to, help me feel more comfortable in it. And so yeah, not, and since when you're in a con environment, you're also, getting like at least 5,000 steps a day, maybe even way more than that. It's in some instances, depending on how much you're doing. So,
So let me ask you this. Sorry to
mhm.
interrupt you, but I don't know if you compete in cosplay contests or you're just doing this because you just enjoy being a cosplayer. Because I think there is also a difference if you're competing on a stage and you're competing for real money and you're going out there trying to win 25, 50, $100,000. I think that's also a little bit different than if you're saying, hey, I just want to go to a con dressed as my favorite character. And does it really matter if you're just there to have a good time? If you're wearing blue pants that are more comfortable and the character wears green pants? Because at a certain point, I think that if your objective is to have fun and enjoy yourself and express your love for a character, I don't think that so much of color variation of a slight is going to change the difference.
Right,
If you think I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. Please tell me I'm wrong if I am. But like that's how I view it, right? But if you're in a contest, it doesn't really matter if you're uncomfortable because you gotta fucking do it and you want to win.
right, exactly. Yeah, there's definitely a difference uh, when it comes to cosplay contests of that magnitude with, with all the judging, all the prejudging stuff you have to do, making a binder and all that, and then also like, you know, the performance aspect of it as well. If you do that, um, no. So me personally, I haven't done any like official cosplay contests at like bigger cons and stuff like that. I just done like small little contests here and there. It's not too big of a deal, but mainly I'm just there to have fun. That's my first and foremost thing when it comes to cosplay, just having fun with it, and just getting to interact with so many different kinds of people, and uh, that's what makes a con for me. Pretty much at anything else that's going on, and pretty much I think as far as like also like characters that also like you're able to customize your look. Like take like a Pokemon trainer for example. You can in the later generations you can customize your appearance, the boy and the girl. So you can buy the same thing like custom. You can either go with like your default outfit, like when they you can get like in a package deal online or something, or you can find some pieces on your own to make yourself and express yourself a little bit differently. So it just depends on you.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So anyway, I want to dive into some of your cosplays because you've done a bunch, and you already
Oh
mentioned
yeah.
Luffy, and you already
Mm-hmm.
mentioned Luffy. So this is your Luffy, I think.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as it uploads, I think that's your Luffy. And so we spoke about that one. And then you've done a few others where you've done obviously CP, I think nine or zeros. Rob, I forget his last name, how to pronounce his last name,
Yeah,
but
Rob Lucci.
Lucci. And obviously he came back in One Piece. And
Mm-hmm.
that was fun to see him back in One Piece
Oh
after the
yeah.
whole CP9 and CP0 arcs. So what's the story behind this one though? Because obviously he's a bad guy, but he's not necessarily a bad guy per se. Like One Piece is so weird. There's no real villain in One Piece. It's like it's mind boggling. Everybody's a villain and everybody's not. It's just
kind of like real life, huh?
well, One
Yeah.
Piece is the gift that keeps on giving, right?
Mhm.
It's like Naruto, right? It just keeps on giving. I mean, it's I don't know why they're ending One Piece anytime soon.
Oh, it'll take a
But
while for it to get there, but yeah.
but but I digress. So what's the story behind that cosplay? Because it's a well-known character, and
Mhm.
I don't know when you exactly did that one, but obviously he's back in One Piece for a little bit.
Mhm. Yeah, so that particular picture I did was in 2018. The previous year before that, I also went as Rob Lucci, but I had like had a slightly worse wig and top hat, so I didn't really like it as much. I still had fun, obviously, but I felt a lot more confident this time around with that picture you showed. So that was from a photo shoot I had done from another cosplayer, and I guess like the inspiration for it, I always wanted to. Being a villain character is kind of fun in its own way because, you have a little more freedom. I'd say, like you're not really held back by trying to be a hero. You know what I mean? Like, um, you can pretty much do what you want to do, as far as that goes, and be express yourself as that character. So, like, like you said, it's like a little complicated with One Piece because most of the characters are complex in their own way. Like Oda does such a great job of you know fleshing out like each different parts of their character by putting them in these different situations that challenge them, and it's really awesome to you know have so many complex characters you can draw from. Of course, One Piece has so many, so it just keeps growing.
So and then you also did Sanji,
Mm-hmm.
which is cool right here. So you did him as well,
Mm-hmm.
and that's similar in certain respects, I would imagine, to building the Rob cosplay, the Rob Lucci cosplay, but it's also very different
Mm-hmm.
as well. So what was that like? Because obviously Sanji is well known and is one of the mains, and it's One Piece still. So what
Yeah.
was this one like?
Yeah, so for that one, I had used the same suit, but I bought like a set of buttons. I think at some hobby store, and then I sewed it on myself, and then I had the same pants on, and then I also reused this wig that I originally got for Link. So for that one, I just really love that his backstory and all that. Like I just love the fact that he worked super hard, at trying to get better at cooking just because, um, just to make his mom feel better. So it's really a great story, and um, yeah, that's pretty much what I like about him. He's badass too with his kicking as well. Like I love his fighting style.
And so, I mean, you said it before, and then I also want to touch upon this: is that what is it even like though? Because obviously Sanji hasn't left One Piece and has always been in the main, and then obviously we had the Big Mama arc and the Vince Smoke arc and all that stuff. And so, what is that like for you with Sanji? But then also, as I was stating with Rob Lucci, obviously this whole thing, not with the Vegapunk stuff and everything that went on. And I don't want to ruin too much, but obviously Rob Lucci kind of came back in. So what is that like for you? Because One Piece is one of those shows that just keeps on giving. And there's a few others. There's a few others that we're going to talk about. Sailor Moon's another one. Naruto's another one. To some degree, Bleach. We've done some stuff from Bleach is also somewhat on and off. But what is that like when you have a character, then they disappear out of the show for a while, and then they're back in, or they get a main spotlight? Because it's kind of, I would imagine, weird for you to some degree. He's like, oh snap, Sanji now is not the main of One Piece, but he's a little bit more in the center.
Hmm. Yeah. So I mean, I don't really find it a big deal because a lot of people nowadays, especially like even if they just barely got into One Piece through like the Netflix series or they just started, watching episodes on Crunchyroll or whatnot. I I think One Piece characters themselves, just have like this ability to like just grab people's attention to the point where, no matter what point of the series they're in, like people still be amazed like that you cosplayed them, in this particular outfit or, you know, like with Rob Lucci's just like his CP9 outfit compared to as he is now with like his all white suit and everything. So, it's I think, to me it doesn't really bother me too much that, that I have to like stay current or whatever, I can always reuse, you know, what I had and stuff. And, people will still enjoy it because they still remember that particular part of the arc or the series. So, you know, pretty cool in that aspect, especially with something as large as popular as One Piece.
And then obviously jump me to another one, and I kind of tease it a little bit. It's Naruto stuff, and no,
Mhm.
that's still Sanji. That's still Sanji. I want to make this crystal clear. That's still Sanji. This is the Naruto stuff
Yeah.
that you've done, and what's the story behind that? Because this character kind of gets killed, but is still relevant, and I don't know how to explain it. It's like the what is it? Didara, I think is how you say the name, right? And we don't know exactly what Didara is exactly either, but it's like
Yeah.
and it's just like, but like, what is that like? Because again, though, I mean, it's a very pivotal moment in Naruto because it's kind of the first major villain of the second half of Naruto.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty much that whole group, the Akatsuki group, is just um, they have their own like overarching presence, and especially in Shippuden. But just as far as that goes, like he was probably my favorite character. He was very eccentric and uh, weird, and how he was always so passionate about his art of making things explode and just creating things with his mouth hands. It's just so funny. But yeah, I mean, let's just say he just went out with a bang, literally.
So though, what is that like? Because Naruto is one of the big three,
Hmm.
and One Piece is one of the big three, obviously, and then we got Bleach, which we're going to talk about in a second here.
Hmm.
But what is it like? Because that character, I feel, doesn't get as much attention as an Itachi or a Pain or a Hiden or or Conan or I'm trying to think of a few other members in the Akatsuki off the top of my head. It's been a while, but the
Yeah.
point is this character doesn't get a lot of attention, right? So,
Hmm.
like, what is that like? Because I think it's interesting when you dive into that and you start doing characters that are part of a major show, but aren't at the front and center, and then kind of come and go really quickly.
Hmm. Yeah. So I just kind of like that. I want to give those kind of type of characters a more of a spotlight as far as like compared to the other ones. Because some of the popular ones I do like, but I don't like them enough to cosplay. You know what I mean? Like they have to be like somebody I like really enjoy, and I pretty much loved his antics and loved the way he was. So
So let me ask you this, because I haven't been to a con in a while, but when I was at a bunch of cons doing presentations and going as a fan, I would see so many Harley Quinns, right? I would
mm-hmm.
see so many Batmans. I would see so many things that, like, I'm like, okay, this is like the 90th Harley Quinn I've seen this weekend.
Yeah.
And after a while, you kind of say, I'm getting sick of this. But then I would see somebody doing Static Shock, right?
Hmm.
So you know David the Smiley, and we're gonna talk about that in a few minutes here.
Hmm.
With particular cosplay, but I don't want to spoil it yet. I don't want to spoil it, but the idea is that after a while you get, I want to see something different, and I don't know how you feel about it, but you also say, look, I want to be 101 at a con, and if I do, you know, somebody like Didara, you know, there's probably not going to be another one, or there might be one other person. There's 30,000 people at a convention that does
Right.
this. But if I do Monkey D. Luffy, there's going to be 500 Monkey D. Luffy's running around. And did you feel that, hey, you know, I want to be slightly different? Or is it that you just say, I don't really care. I just want to do the character because it's complicated right now, I feel, with this
Hmm.
because social media elements to this, there's Instagram elements to this, there's also what do I want to do? And so I don't know how you even approach that, or if that just doesn't come across your mind. It's like, fuck it, I want to do this character. And that's the end of that discussion.
Yeah. So I think most of the time it's just I really want to do this character, and yeah, I understand like there's going to be a lot of Demon Slayer cosplayers. There's going to be a lot of Genshin Impact cosplayers. There's going to be a lot of cosplays out there that popping off right now. Um, and My main focus is just doing the things that I love and me showing that to the world. That's mainly why I created my cosplay account, and that's mainly why I even cosplay in the first place. I just want to show people um, stuff from my childhood that I really enjoyed, and um, Naruto and One Piece and Bleach and all the different anime were a part of that. So I definitely want to give a spotlight as far as that's concerned. But I guess it just depends on how much I love a certain character, because I think Naruto's pretty cool. Not gonna lie, I think Sasuke's probably a little better, but you know, I love the Akatsuki War. Like, let's just say it. I love the Akatsuki War.
That's funny. That's funny. I mean, look, you know, I'm a wrestling fan, and
Hmm.
I love John Cena. I think John Cena is great, and you got to give the guy
Hmm.
mad respect. But I'll be honest, I like seeing the bad guys, and I like the heels a lot more. Like John Cena versus Edge back in 2006, Edge
Hmm.
was way cooler and way more interesting to watch because he has Lita on his arm, and he might hit you with a steel chair. And it sounds weird, but you're like, what is Edge gonna do to cheat in a match, win a match, get out of the match, and do something ridiculous? And that's what was great. And
Hmm.
so and then it opened up a lot of attention for a lot of crazy stuff that happened in Monday Night Raw, where like John Cena threw Edge into the Long Island Sound. And it was ridiculous. You're like, holy shit, we're throwing people into water now. This is amazing. Like, this is real shit now. And
Hmm.
you had to have the villain to make the hero do something like that. So, like, I get it. I get it. But speaking about heroes who look like villains, we got to talk about this one.
Hmm.
Because I think he's a good guy, right?
Mm, you could say that.
I mean, technically speaking, in the first arc of Bleach when they invade, right? He's a
Hmm.
bad guy, right?
Right. Yes.
But then after that first arc, he's a good guy afterwards. I mean, this whole society is not anymore bad after that first arc of Bleach, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, and he's like the research and development guy, I think. Like,
Yes.
is he the 13th captain or is he like the 11th captain? I forget which.
No, he's the 12th one.
So he's the 12th one. So I
Hmm.
mean, technically he's a good guy, right? He's a hero technically. But what's the whole story behind this? Because I don't see many of these cosplays around. I don't even see many of them on the Instagram and the internet. So what's the story behind this? Because this is way off the beaten path, even though it's Bleach.
Yeah, yeah. My year is definitely out there, but I always liked, the mad scientist type of characters. I thought they were pretty funny, and you know, I like science, so I thought it was like sort of a match made in heaven, where you have somebody like him who always always has a backup plan for a backup plan in a fight. He just does these out there experiments that ends up helping him in the long run. Uh, and he just has these wild looks with him that, that you just can't help but pay attention. So I guess as far as that goes, like that's one of the reasons why I love Mayuri is because he's way different compared to every other captain because every other captain just has the same clothing, the same takama and all that, but he's different because
So even to talk
he
about that
gets to make
cosplay
the fun.
too, because this cosplay is also probably the most different from all your other ones.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think any other one uses face paint on your face.
Yeah, that much face
From
paint. Yeah.
so what is that like too? Because when you're painting your face, and correct me if I'm wrong here, and I'm going to make an assumption, but I think I'm right on it. And if I'm wrong, feel free to tell me so. But you have to probably plan for that, meaning that you can't do that cosplay on a Friday. Maybe you can, I don't know. But when you're body painting or you're painting yourself, you have to figure out when you're going to paint yourself
Mm-hmm.
appropriately. And then also you got to plan saying, I got to put this on. And when do I want to do that? And even when you're setting up for a con, if you're going out on a 3-day con, it might take you an hour to put on that cosplay versus Rob Lucci might take you approximately 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
also getting it off is a different thing too, because
Uh-huh.
you may not be able to change out of that Bleach cosplay if you want to divide a cosplay into 6 hours and 6 hours at a con.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, you definitely just have to do that one cosplay, see how long you can go with it, and then once you're done, you're done. Like just relax for the rest of the day. But yes, you're right. There is quite a bit of planning involved, like mentally as well, because like you have to um, make sure you have at least most of your day clear, so that way you have a comfortable amount of time to where you can confidently put on makeup and put everything else on. So, but yeah, I think back then it was took me like an hour at least just to try and get everything right. But I think the most recent time I did it, which is last year for a photo shoot, um, I was surprised. It only took me like about 30 to 40 minutes. So I think it's just a testament to how much I've grown as far as like um,
You have leveled
preparation
up.
and stuff. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
No, because I like this one a lot. I like the fact that it's just out there and it's just
Yeah.
trippy. And I like the fact that it's kind of just like it's Bleach, and it's kind of like, okay, we're definitely looking at something that is a little bit out here, and this is not the normal captain here. And I like the cosplay a lot because I think it's cool to do things that don't get attention
Mm-hmm.
in certain respects. So you have that. But then I do want to talk about my favorite anime of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And there's two actually. So I want to talk about the franchise that's arguably the greatest franchise, and it's Pokemon. And you've done James.
Mm-hmm.
So you've done this James. I think this is James, right?
Yeah, it's just James in the maid outfit.
Yeah. There are funny ones. There are funny episodes with
Uh-huh.
James in a bikini, and then you see Misty's face. And that episode is one of the greatest episodes, and it was technically banned from, I think, airing in the United States.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I put up a meme of that where I said, and it said, it had Misty in like a caption saying, "Yours are bigger than mine." And
Yeah.
it's on Instagram. It's on my Instagram, and it's great. And it got so many likes, and it's just I thought it was funny. I thought it
Hmm.
was funny. I still think it's funny because it's a ridiculous position. But so what's the story behind the James stuff? Because that's not the only ones you've done a traditional Team Rocket. I think you did the black, Team Rocket, not the white shirt, but the black shirt. And
Hmm.
obviously, everybody knows these characters. Everybody knows these characters. And so, what is that like? Because who doesn't want to do Pokemon in some fashion?
Yeah. So like I said, I like mixing it up a little bit during a change up, if you will. Just going with a villain. Just um, I feel like there's a different kind of freedom with it as compared to being a hero character. You're being a hero. A little more confined in what you can do. Like it's still gonna look awesome no matter what. But I think with a villain, you have a little bit of more freedom and creativity to kind of do what you want. So also with him, I just love him as a character. Like he never had to catch a Pokemon with a Pokeball. Just instantly went up to him, and they're just so friendly with him. Like he's the real Pokemon master, like straight up. Like he's the real Pokemon master, and also like his backstory as well. How he just came from like a rich family, and he was just bored. Like he wanted to go see the outside world and you know do it with Pokemon, but he just wasn't able to. His parents just kept sheltering him. So yeah, yeah, I just pretty much love him as a character as far as that goes, and just love his interactions with Jesse and Meowth and all that. So
Do you also feel that with James and in particular in cosplay, you can do this more of him in sort of, I guess, I don't know the jacket type, but him holding a rose. You could do him
mhm.
in his traditional version, but then you could also do the maid outfit of James when he's doing the maid outfit. You could do him in, more of the black thing. You could probably do a mashup of him in something. And
Mhm.
you feel that like because there's certain I feel characters that you could do mashups with and you could have a lot more freedom with. And really James can be anything. I mean, you could have a magic carpet sitting on James's head and then you could have a hat of a magic carp, and like that's a whole variation. And same thing with Jesse, same thing with Meowth. I mean, I got a cosplay for you right now. You could do Victory Bell like on top of James because that
Yeah.
happens all the time, right? And but like, do you feel that with James, like you have an infinite amount of freedom? Because that's what it seems to me with certain characters that you have infinite amount of freedom with them versus, you know, Luffy. I don't know how much freedom you have with Luffy.
Um. Well, I don't want to get too spoilery with Freedom and Luffy, but yeah.
No, no, no. I mean to the point where you can't do Luffy wearing a magic carp hat. It doesn't.
Oh yeah,
In
yeah.
which
With
like
like
I don't know what you can like. You could mash up Luffy a little bit, but you really can't. Like with James, you could have James in a maid outfit. You could have him having a magic carp eating him. You could have him riding a Gyarados for all
mhm.
you want. Like it all makes sense, right?
Yeah, he's definitely more creative when it comes to like props and stuff. And I have a Marini plush I use as well that I'll carry around sometimes, and I'll have him sticking up all of the tentacles on his face. So it's pretty funny.
So that I was just curious at how you view that because that because to me it's just you have a lot of maneuverability, I guess, for lack of
Hmm.
a better word. But I don't want to ruin too much about James because I do want to talk about this
Hmm.
because what is this Rose Raid?
Yes, this is a Roserade Gijinka.
So what's the story behind this? Because I thought Rose Raid is a somewhat female Pokemon. I think they can only be female. I could be wrong on that. It's been a while since I've done my Pokemon, degree, for lack of a
Mhm.
better word.
Yeah.
But this is definitely making it, a human, and it got like the suit and everything. And so, like, where did this idea even come from? Because it's so interesting when people do this with Pokemon and then make them into like the human stuff and the Jajinkas and all that stuff. So, like, how did this come about?
Yeah, so I always loved like Roserade's design, and there's also male and female variations as well. Just the female one has a longer cape than the male one does, but
It was about
besides,
the cape, wasn't it? That's what
yes,
it was about.
yeah. So I think with that, I always loved Roserade's design, and um, I just wanted to emulate it as much as I can. And what I picked up right away is that I could do like I could like have a vest and uh, just get like a usual cape, and then cut it up to make it look like the leaves, and just have like an undershirt underneath where I can sort of match the Pokemon design, and then the ascot would be just like the gold you see around its neck too.
So to go even further into this, because it seems very elegant, right? It's a very elegant cosplay.
Hmm.
Not to say like the James doesn't seem elegant. I'm gonna show two more that obviously don't have that elegant component to it. This almost has like a ballroom feel to
Hmm.
it, and it almost seems like a masquerade type cosplay. Where if there was a cosplay ball, this would be the one to wear. And
Yeah.
so what is that like? Because that's also very different than I feel your others, where the others don't have that, like, we're going to prom type of feel
Yeah.
to it. Like, that's exactly how it feels.
Yeah.
So like, I'm not trying to be funny when I say it, and I realize how kind of funny it sounds, but like that's what it seems like this. So
Hmm.
like, what is that? Because between the bleach one you did, the rose raid you did, and there's a few others that you've done, like you're covering a lot of, I guess, talent and skill sets. And what is that like to kind of, I guess, challenge yourself a little bit and also have versatility and diversity in what you present out there? Because I think that is crucial right now in everything, let alone cosplay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I always try and push myself in different ways, to be more creative, more versatile in what I want to do as far as cosplay goes. Um, so I always try and figure out, I always try and figure out the inspiration that comes from what the character shows me, or what kind of vibes I get. So, like you said with Rose Raid, for example, it's way more formal. It's more of a ballroom type of thing. And matter of fact, I have worn it at cosplay masquerades before. So, it felt like I've said before, like a match made in heaven, where you know the design obviously calls for, you know, like it's more like a masquerade, the ballroom type of feel, and um, obviously with what I put together, I showcase that, how what the vibe I was getting from.
No, I love it. I think it's great. And then obviously you got two more Pokemon cosplays that I want to talk about as well that are not as masquerade-esque, for lack of
Yeah.
a better word. But we got Blaziken, which
Hmm.
is always fun. I think this is Blaziken, right?
Hmm.
So what's the story behind this? Because this is just fun.
Yeah. So Blaziken's one of my favorite Pokemon, top five at least. Um, I always at least try to have one, and whenever I was playing in third generation, Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, and yeah. So this one in particular is his Mega Evolve form. So I really loved that when X and Y came out. Just the design of it looked so badass. I loved it. So I always wanted to do a Gajinka of that one too. So that's pretty much where that came from. And I just love his fighting style as well, and the fact that he's also a fire type. Fire and electricity are pretty much my favorite elemental types, as you probably could notice from all my cosplays. So
And then the other one I want to talk about with Pokemon is Pokemon Coliseum,
Yes.
which is, I think that was a GameCube game, right?
Yes, you're correct.
So what's the disturbing on that? Because that's the game that's always forgotten in Pokemon. But what's the disturbing on this? It's a fun game. I enjoyed playing it. I really
hmm
enjoyed playing it.
Yeah, so this Pokemon Coliseum and XD are probably both of my favorite spin-off Pokemon games. Um, I just really loved what they were doing as far as like Shadow Pokemon go. Just the concept of changing their tainted heart into purifying it, and also you were also able to use like different Pokemon that you weren't able to use in the rest of the Gen 3 games because it came out around the same time as Gen 3. So you had like some Johto Pokemon like Coliseum, and then you also had some Kanto Pokemon being brought back, some of them in Pokemon XD. So just with the but going back to Pokemon Coliseum's main character, I just love his design. Is like he's badass, and he was so radically different compared to all the other types of Pokemon trainers we've seen so far, where they're preteen or young adult characters, and you have somebody like this that's whoa out of nowhere. He's like a badass character. It's not suddenly not a happy-go-lucky. Oh, I'm gonna catch Pokemon. It's gonna be a great time. But yeah,
Well, I have
that's
my own theory on Pokemon, and I really think it is that I'm working on a panel about Pokemon and government, and
okay.
I was a poli sci major, and I think in Pokemon Kanto and Johto, you are a essentially you are almost like a FBI agent slash special police, you know, jurisdiction, or you're granted a free jurisdiction component where all the gyms are governorships.
hmm
Your job as a Pokemon trainer is to go and build a team and thwart Team Rocket. And in order to do that, though, you also have to prove that each time you get a gym badge, you're getting further and further access to travel freely in the world. And but the town is run by the gyms, right? So that's the governorship.
hmm
So a gym leader can do whatever the hell they want to do, and they control their area and their town. And so that's what I think is interesting about Pokemon is that, so I don't think you're a happy-go-lucky kid. I think you're deceived in Pokemon, and they didn't really want to hire a true veteran to do the job when they could hire a 13-year-old to do the job for them. I
Yeah.
think they made an economic decision in the game.
hmm
And I think this was issued by the Elite Four because they're like, we have budget cuts, so we need to make decisions here. So we'll just have a 13-year-old do it, and if it fails, well, we'll find another 13-year-old to do it.
Yeah, exactly. I think
That's my theory. That's my theory. I'm willing to stick with it. Some people might disagree, but I believe that sometimes in life, you got to take the cheapest option, and sending a 13-year-old to do the job is the correct job to do it.
yeah, I think it invites that interesting juxtaposition every time that you have all this powerful criminal organization, and you have many different types of, I'd say, leaders or mentors that could do the job, but they don't want to do it. So, but in comes this young kid that just has a badass team, and
See, I
wipes
just
everybody.
think it's about economics, right? Because
hmm
what I think it's about is that if you were to send in an elite team to do the job here, what you would have to do is you would have to pay them well.
hmm
I just don't think the Elite Four has the money to authorize this, and I think Professor Oak is a cheap bastard. That's what I think. So rather than basically say, "Hey, we'll give you 100,000 to defeat Team Rocket. Here's a Squirtle. Go have fun."
yeah.
That's what I think it is.
uh-huh.
I think it's all about the money, and I think that they all came up with a plan, and I think it's a conspiracy theory. And I have no problem defending this position, and then the real conspiracy theory is they did it again in Johto. They did it
Uh-huh.
again in Johto. Because you fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And then the problem is that in Johto and Kento, you should have known better in Johto. At the
Mm-hmm.
end of Johto, that you were being deceived. In is it Hoenn is the third generation? That's
Yes.
a
Uh-huh.
separate region. So they didn't know any the wiser. So it's all
Yeah.
right. You get fooled again, but it's a new thing. So they could pull the trick off again. But in Johto, I mean, you, the trainer, are just a dumbass. Because shame on you the second time around.
Yep. Like somehow they came back. I don't know how.
Oh my god! Just there's so many things I could say. So many things I could say. Um, but apparently I didn't know that in Gen 3 that if you beat the Elite Four afterwards, you can go back to Professor I think Elm and you can get like a Cyndaquil, a Trico, and you can get something else, and then you can get I think the third time you do you can get like a Charmander, a Squirtle, or a Bulbasaur.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. I did not
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah. That was really cool. I think that was an emerald. Yeah.
I did not know that. I learned that the hard way. I just showed up one day, like, would you like a Cyndaquil? I'm like, yes, I would love a Cyndaquil. It was great.
Yeah.
I would love a Cyndaquil. How did I not know this?
Mm-hmm.
But I digress. I'm a big Pokemon fan. Um, Pokemon is amazing, and I love Pokemon.
Oh yeah.
Um, but I do want to talk about the other big one that is also a gift that keeps on giving, and this is Sailor Jupiter.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the story behind this? Because I'll just say the quiet part aloud. I think Sailor Jupiter is a girl.
Yes. Yes, she's a girl.
I don't think you're a girl in this.
No.
So what was this like gender bending? Because that's what I think is super fascinating is that what was that like? Because it's always fun. I mean, we've all seen the guy, a Sailor Moon with a beard, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is not that. This is, I feel, like a full on taking a serious approach to Sailor Jupiter
Mm-hmm.
as a guy. I don't know how to say that any other way.
Yeah.
And that's fascinating when somebody actually takes a serious approach to it versus, I guess, a comedy approach, for lack of a better word.
Yeah. So I guess with this one, I just wanted to do her justice because she's one of my favorite characters. We almost have the same birthday. I was just born a little 3 days earlier, but we both Sagittarius signs, and I find a lot of common with her. She's pretty independent. She's also pretty headstrong. She works on instinct, but she's also very caring and kind, especially when it comes with her friends. So I think in that aspect, I just wanted to, like I always said, like 85% is like what I want to go for as far as anything is concerned. Was like for cosplay, and then the 50%, 15% can be like for wearing more comfortable shoes. Because I'll tell you the heels suck. Like I am gonna sugarcoat it.
I have
It took
never
a lot to
worn
get used to.
I've never worn heels.
Mm-hmm.
I like looking at my significant other in heels, and she looks
Mm-hmm.
great, and she knows the heels I like her to wear, and I understand that she's making a sacrifice for me, so I understand full well, but she's a killer in heels.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I can imagine that heels are not fun. I can imagine. But what is that like though? Because it is kind of cool though. I mean, what was the reception like? Because I'm gonna say this nicest way is that if I didn't know and your Instagram didn't say he him, and I just saw this randomly, I might, if I was quickly glancing, be like, oh, this is a female cosplayer doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, if you look close enough, you're gonna figure it out. Not to get like too like into the weeds on this, but like in a quick glance, you're like, holy shit, like this could be a female cosplayer.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what is that like? Because that I think is really interesting when you start diving into things like that.
Yeah, so I guess for me, I always grew up with watching like Looney Tunes and stuff, and I was kind of uh, always look at like characters like Bugs Bunny, where he can be whatever the fuck he wants, and you know half the time when he's disguising himself as a lady, like it's usually because of a joke or because of he wants to fool Elmer or whatever. But I think with me, I not really going for like the comedy aspect of it. I want to stay like true to the characters as I possibly can. So, I'll try and do my very best, whether with my makeup and um, just learning and practicing. Just doing it, and yeah, I just want to. I just want to be a badass lady. That's pretty much it.
And then to go even further into this, because obviously I mentioned this at sort of the start a little bit and I was teasing it, but you have this one too,
Mhm,
where you're Jupiter, David the Smiley is Venus.
mhm,
And what's the story behind this? Because there's this one, there's this shot here too, between the two of you. And so how did this come about? What was the story behind this? Doing both, Venus and Jupiter. I don't know if there was another 2 or 3 people involved, but even still, it's kind of cool that you're both doing Sailor Moon and you're
mhm.
gender bending and yeah, I like what's the story? Because that's what you all want to know.
Yeah. So when I had done my uh, cosplay by myself as Sailor Jupiter, um, I posted it on Instagram and post uh, post one of my edits. I think it was that one you showed me, and David had come forward with a comment like, "Hey, we should do this together sometime," because I'd done a photo shoot before where he was Mirror B and I was Wes from Pokemon Coliseum. So we already had that good relationship between each other. We're like, hey, we could just go to the studio in Houston and do a photo shoot together. So um, I noticed that he was really interested in Sailor Moon as well. I loved his Sailor Venus cosplay, and you know, I just flat asked him one day in a DM. I was like, "Hey, do you want to do a Jupiter and a Venus cosplay photo shoot together?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." So um, that's pretty much how that came about. Did it like about a few months ago. Yeah, it was in April, towards the beginning of April, and it was really cool. It was so much fun. That was pretty much the only time I had worn heels for that long. Because usually I'll just go in like Chucks. I have like green Chuck Taylors. So if I'm going like on a con, for example, I'll just walk around in it. So, but yeah.
So many things I could say. So, but even going a little bit further into that too, I mean, what has been the reception of that online? Because again, I think this is one of the more interesting cosplays you've done
Hmm.
because it is Sailor Moon. It's not necessarily a comedy thing. It's meant to, and it is, I think, taken seriously, and I think it's
Hmm.
taken respectfully, and I think it's really interesting because we usually see girls cosplaying guys. It's
Hmm.
rare to see it the other way around and see it done well the other way around. Doesn't
Hmm.
mean that it can be done, but this is an example of where it's really well done. And so what
Hmm.
is that like too? Because and how has that been received? Because again, as I stated, you're scrolling fast enough through this or there's no context. Like, oh, cool. Especially yours, you know, and that Sailor Jupiter, it's like, oh snap! Like I hate to use the word passable, but it's passable, right? I
Yeah.
think I think he's the only like I'm trying to be politically correct here.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
difficult, but like it's a passable position. So
Hmm.
like, and so how has it been received online though? Because hate to say it, the internet can be a fucked up place.
Yeah, well, I think it also helps um, that you cultivate um, your following um, to the point where you're gonna have like quite a bit of support no matter what you do. And I'm very fortunate enough to be able to have something like that. I've been like inspired by other uh, like cross players that will do like male to female um, cosplays, like princess cosplays and stuff like that. So, um, I've always been inspired by that, and then also just I think the following I have, just um, they're very open and receptive, and you know, they just see me having fun. They see me becoming this badass character, or many others that I post online, and you know, people see the joy I have, and I think that's like one of the best things about doing like Sailor Jupiter or Daisy, or a lot of the other ones that have popped off, so to speak. That you know, I bring myself through that character. You know what I mean? So I
And
think
then
it's really awesome.
you mentioned it, so let's talk about Daisy. So we have
Hmm.
Daisy here. We got Daisy here. We got this Daisy,
Hmm.
and we got my favorite Daisy. So how do you feel about Peach?
Peach is all right.
I'm
She's all right.
sorry. It was just too easy of a target. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah. That's
It
a
was
fair
just too
question.
easy. I'm sorry. It was just too easy. But I could have gone with. You want to go to a mansion next?
I wish they would put her in Luigi's Mansion. Like that would have been great, especially for
Oh
like
my
the third
god.
game. Like,
So many things could have been said. Poor Luigi. The guy gets
yeah.
screwed. Poor Luigi, right?
Yeah.
That was a hard game to beat. That was a hard game to beat. The first
Mhm.
one.
Oh yeah.
That final boss sucked. 7 hours to figure out how to beat him. And that was after I spent like 20 hours trying to figure out how to beat him in 7 hours. So it really took me
Hmm.
like 30 hours. But I like to tell myself that it took me 7, so I feel a little better.
Yeah.
But no, but talk about the Daisy. So like, what's the story behind Daisy? Because Daisy is kind of fun, I guess. I mean, and you look like you're having a lot of fun with Daisy.
Well, I mean, she is one of my favorite Mario characters, so that makes sense. I like I don't know, she just brings instant joy whenever like she's on screen. So like whenever I'm playing like Mario Party or Mario Kart or pretty much anything else, like you know, I just want to pick Daisy every time.
Yeah, no, I mean, it just seems funny. You also feel that it's just a positive character, and that
Yes.
that also helps too because nothing against, which we're going to talk about afterwards, which is Link. Link is not a positive character. No, the Legend of Zelda is not a positive game. It really isn't. There's a lot of strife in that game. There's a lot of
Hmm.
anger in that game. With
Oh
Daisy,
yeah.
it's just like I have this little vegetable in Super Smash. I'm going to throw it at you. And like it's just like you get a nice like dress, and then you double dash, and then it kind of flies up. You're on Rainbow Road, and then like her like she lifts up off the back of the car. It's great.
Hmm.
Or you're Daisy and Smash, and then you have the umbrella, and you're coming down nice and slow. It's
Hmm.
it's it's a very peaceful character, and she takes the umbrella, she just whacks Wario. It's great.
Yeah.
I have a very different way how I play Super Smash Brothers than most people, but not the point here. But like, do you feel that it's just like such a positive character that it's just kind of like I'm gonna be Daisy and we're gonna have a fun con, and I'm a Mario princess today.
Hmm. Yeah, I just love her enthusiasm. I just love like um, she just comes at everything with excitement. Like whenever you're playing like Mario Wonder, for example, she's like you get like instantly makes the game that much more fun just because she's on the screen. But I did cosplay recently at a San Japan this past couple weeks ago, and that was so much fun. It was very well received by a lot of people, and was able to do a photo shoot in the morning too, so that was awesome.
So what is that like? Because I don't know how many daisies are out there. And so I don't know if Daisy is a popular cosplay that happens or if you're the only Daisy out there. Because I know there's sometimes I've seen, I think you have a few photos with some Princess Peaches and some stuff, but like, again, and I'm gonna say this in the nicest way I could say it, but Daisy does not come at the top of the cosplay list for me in
Yeah,
this whole Marvel realm. And so, what is that like? Because I would imagine it's nice to if you find a Mario group and they have a Koopa, they have a Mario, they have a Luigi, they have a Wario, and then they don't have a Daisy.
yeah. So I mean, I definitely say Peach is a little more popular. I'd say Rosa too in some ways, but like I just have fun with her. Like um, I think a lot of people share the same sentiment that Daisy should get a little bit more spotlight, and that despite what very fanatical people may say, like as far as from the Daisy fandom, like I think most people see like her as, like you said, a positive character, and she may not be the most popular here, like in the United States, for example, but she's still very much people see her still very much as part of the Mario universe, and you know people enjoy seeing her.
Fair enough, fair enough. I mean, I enjoy your Daisy cosplay. I enjoy the Sailor Jupiter cosplay the most, the two you've done, where
Hmm.
I just like the fact that they're just taken seriously because
Hmm.
I've seen plenty of people do things in a comical way, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. But at the
Yeah,
same time, I'm like, I want to see a serious cosplay, or I want to see something. Maybe serious is not the right word, but I want to see something done in a professional or a more caring, loving way. Might be a good example.
yeah,
Uh,
like something more authentic.
yeah, that's a good word. That's a good word to use. But I do want to stick with Nintendo because you were
Hmm.
dressed as Link, and you've
Yes.
got a bunch of Link, and you have a bunch of them. So you have this one that you've done, which is the shield, sword. I think this is quote unquote traditional Link. We could call it, for lack of a better word. We have this one, which I think is also somewhat traditional. Then
Hmm.
we have this one, which is a variation, and then we have this, which I don't know how you found the Triforce, but good on you, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I can't help it today. I can't help it. Um, then we have this one too, which I
Hmm.
think is another version. Is that Breath of the Wild, or is this?
Yes, that's the Royal Guard outfit.
And so, so you've done like 4 or 5 versions of Link, and I might be
Hmm.
missing a few here and there, but what's this like? Because I don't need to ask you why Link, because we all know that we would just be linking things together here. So I've been waiting for
Hmm.
that joke forever. I've been waiting a long time. Time. Again, I'm sorry.
No,
But
you're good.
all jokes aside, but what is this like? Because at this point, when you're doing 3, 4, 5 versions of Link and you're variationing it out, you know, it's kind of cool. And obviously, you're a fan of Link. People love Legend of Zelda.
Hmm.
It's not something that I think is, you know, it has a huge fan base, and it's one of the greatest games of all time. The first one, and my favorite's Minish Cap. I love Minish Cap.
Oh yeah, that's a great one. Yeah.
I think Minish Cap is awesome. I
Hmm.
think Minish Cap is great. I enjoyed Breath of the Wild. I was not a fan of Breath of the Wild 2.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's
Again,
understandable.
Breath of the Wild accomplished everything it needed to accomplish.
Hmm.
And I would have rather had a fresher new idea, but and then I love Ocarina. Majora's Mask is okay for me.
Hmm.
Um, well, one of the coolest tattoos I've ever seen is a Majora Mask being cracked open, and out of it his hunter comes.
Ooh, that's pretty sick.
It's on Instagram. It's deadpan tattoo, and I don't know them, but oh my god, just brilliant idea, brilliant idea. Like the crack
Hmm.
open the Majora Mask, and the hunter comes through. Oh, it
Yeah.
makes me want to get that tattoo because it's just like. But I digress. So, like, what is this like though to do so many different links? Because obviously, it must be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very fun. Like I said before, I like characters that you can like have different variations of outfits that you can wear, and you know, Link is no exception to that. Obviously, so right now, like I have on Twilight Princess outfit. You showed Breath of the Wild, the Royal Guard outfit, and also have the Champions leathers as well from TOTK. But yeah, I just love like being able to be versatile in cosplay and get to show my creativity with one of my favorite characters that I grew up with to play a
Do you
bunch of the
also
games too.
feel? Did you also feel that if you have 3 or 4 versions, one con might be more privileged or privy to the to that version of Link. Or there might be a situation where you're like, I just did this at this con and I'm going to another con in 3 weeks and it's only 30 miles away and I don't want to run into the same people repeating the same cosplay. And I want
Hmm.
to still wear Link because it's an easy cosplay for me to wear, but I'll do Royal Guards this time and then you just rotate them out? Or do you feel that's a thing? Or do you feel saying, hey, look, Breath of the Wild is just for whatever reason really hot right now. So I want to do some Breath of the Wild stuff because that's what everybody wants to see. But oh snap, it's 30 years of the first Legend of Zelda game for the
Hmm.
next few cons that just dropped. I don't know if that just dropped or 35 years, however long it was.
Yeah.
Uh, all of a sudden, you might want to do that one. So do you feel that that's also a factor when you have that you could mix these in and out and that you could have a good time doing that? Because I don't know how you feel, but I don't like to be stale, right? Just
Right.
in general. So and as an interview, that's why I want to do cosplayers, comics, wrestlers, people in other areas because it mixes things up. So
Hmm.
like if I do somebody in comics, on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday, I might want to do a voice actor. So I'm like, okay, cool. He hasn't done like now we have diversity and it's not the same questions being asked.
Right. So yeah, I definitely trying to mix things up myself. Definitely have like a wide variety of interests, and I guess it just depends on one, the weather, and two, the I guess whatever I feel like, what I'm in the mood for. Um, so last time I wore a Link cosplay was actually at Anime Frontier, uh, in December last year. So that was really fun. I got to do a photo shoot with a cosplay friend, and she was Zelda, and it was awesome. We got to shoot at the Fort Worth Water Gardens, and that was a crazy trying to go down all the steps in my cosplay boots. Just trying not to slip and fall into the water. So that was kind of crazy, but that was really fun. I really enjoyed it, and
So what is that like? Because obviously you've done shoots in a studio, but then what
mhm.
about doing shoots on the fly? Because I've interviewed some top cosplayers that are doing shoots on the beach and they're doing things like Katsucon, and then they're also doing some other stuff out there, and it's also like freezing cold in the snow. And so like what is that like to figure out that, and doing something at a con or in a location and an improv location versus doing something in a studio? Because I think the stuff you did with David the Smiley was in a studio. I don't think that
Yes.
was necessarily in the middle of, oh my God, there's like a water fountain going down steps and not trying to fall in the water and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, what, because I would imagine those are two different experiences. And also, if you're at a con and you're working with a photographer,
Mhm.
that's also very different as well, because a studio photographer and a con photographer are two completely different beasts.
Right. Yeah. So I guess it just depends. Um, for me, like I do enjoy like outdoor photo shoots more, just because you're able to use like natural light as well as the typical um, flash stand that they have as well. Um, I definitely prefer like fall, winter kind of weather where it's a little bit cooler, because obviously there's a lot of um, can get hot with a lot of layers, obviously. So, um, but I mean, about to do in the summers, it's like not too big a deal. But I do want to be as comfortable as I possibly can. Drink a lot of water before and during and after, and just try and keep cool. It's the best as you can in the Texas heat. So
Yeah, I live in Connecticut, so I know nothing about Texas heat.
yeah.
I live in New England, and
Hmm.
I lived in New York, and I lived in New England, and I lived in DC, and I love living in DC because in October it's like 65, 68 degrees, and you can walk in shorts out, and I could still go to the bar and walk
Hmm.
down the street where I was at. There was like a local bar down like the street, the local pub, and October you could sit outside, and it's absolutely wonderful,
Hmm.
absolutely. Um, but but I digress. But I sympathize completely. And then there's some other stuff you've done. I think this is Legend of Zelda stuff.
Yes, that's a side on.
And so yeah. So what's the story between these? Because I don't know how you did. I don't know how you held your breath in that photo.
I think Photoshop helped a little bit with that one, but yeah.
You should have been like, you don't understand, Andrew. I had to train for this. I had to prepare for this. The amount of work that went into this shot. I had to waterproof the cosplay. I mean, the amount of training that I did would have put NASA to shame.
Nah, I don't want to gaslight you too hard when it comes to that, but yeah. But yeah, just like Sidon's one of my favorite characters in Breath of the Wild, and I always had a dream of being a Zora. Initially I had dreams of being like Zora Link from Majora's Mask, and wanting to do that cosplay, but I just really couldn't figure out how to do it without like commissioning it at some point. So um, it's still a dream of mine, of course, but um, the more feasible one I could do was commissioning someone to make me a Sidon cosplay, because like I said, I just wanted to be a Zora because I thought they were really cool, and they can easily swim and whatnot, and so yeah.
So let's actually talk about that too, because if you're commissioning something, and
Mhm.
this is, I think, what's really interesting is that I don't think there's anything wrong with commissioning anything. And
Mhm.
whether you want to commission something, you want to commission a piece, you want to do whatever you want to do. I mean, I'm in the process, and eventually, when things subside in my business and it cools off a little bit, I want to commission, not necessarily for cosplay, but I want to commission a P9, a Hunks gun from Resident Evil,
Mhm.
because I absolutely love it, and I want like a real like expensive 3D printing of that gun.
Yeah. Mhm.
Because that thing is just sick. Like I want one that looks like it's real.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh my god, I have no problem spending real money on it. I don't know how much it'll cost, but I have an idea of how much I'm willing to spend on it. Um,
Mhm.
but because I just think it'll be a sick piece just to put on my like mantle. And people are like, dude, what the fuck, man? You have a fake weapon wall? Like, what's wrong with you? Like,
Yeah.
it'll be sick. Oh, dude, you ever look at me like, dude, like, what's up with your podcast studio? Like, you have all these guns that are not real on your wall. Like,
Hmm.
but because I can't I wouldn't even know where to 3D print that. I don't even know how to do that, but I'll just hire somebody to do it. But like, what is that like? Because I think commissioning something though is still a skill. You have to know your body type. You have to know your body measurements. You have to know how something's going to fit. You have to have an idea what you want. I mean, I think you need to tell somebody saying, "Hey, look, I want this cosplay, and I want
Hmm.
it to be wearable." And I mean, so I think that's a skill, right? I had a cosplay built for me and tailored to me
Hmm.
when I was doing it, and I wore it like 3 or 4 times, and it ran me like 120, right? But they tailored it to me to my size, and
Hmm.
it was cool, and it was awesome because I fit into it. I mean, I don't fit into it anymore. I'm a little bit bigger now, but not the point. But what is that like? Because I think that's an art that might be forgotten when you go out and you commission things.
Yeah. So, yeah, you definitely have to uh, work with them, throughout the whole process. Like, communication is key. You got to make sure you know, you take every measurement that you can, or that you're able to, get yourself a body or fashion tape measure, and you know, make sure you take everything that they ask for or need, as far as like cosplay goes, whether it's like a full suit or just like an outfit like this. Um, and make it also helps to like plan out what you want exactly. That's the thing with like with the Zora link that I was thinking of, because I didn't really know like how to articulate it. You know what I mean? But with side on, it was a little bit easier for me to do right away, because you have like a 3D reference, you have like all, um, then with your body measurements and stuff. Uh, so yeah, I think communication with the commissioner is very important. Whether you're doing like a weapon or costume, make sure that you get what you want. Make sure you communicate with them in a respectful manner, of course. And
It's interesting, right? Not to
mhm,
interrupt you, but so I've hired editors, right? I've hired people, right? If I
yeah.
go out and I've hired people to do commissions and some other stuff for me on comic covers, I'll tell somebody relatively what I want, right? So I think it's a real issue when because people forget that I'm the customer, and if I'm to go and I'm in the comic world, and so if I'm to go build my own variant, if I don't like the cover, I hate to say this, I understand that you put effort and time into it, but I'm the paying client. And
Mhm.
if you're the commissioner, I mean, you're the paying client, unless I'm wrong here. But I think you're paying for a cosplay. So, if somebody shoots you a design and you don't like the design, you don't have to be a dick about it. We can say, hey, look, I don't really like the way the hood looks
Mhm.
because it's your money.
Right.
And so I think that that's a really interesting point that people forget is that you're asking person B to commission it and you're person A and you're paying person B to do the job.
Mhm.
So I think that that's something that people sometimes forget that
Mhm.
you're the client and the client has to be you don't have to be a dick about it. And be like, your
Right.
work sucks. Why would you do that? How dare you? You don't deserve to do that. Like you should
Mhm.
be ashamed, and your mother should be ashamed that she even allowed you to do X on this thing. Like you don't need to be that extreme. But
Yeah.
but I also think that's a really interesting point. So I'm actually
Mhm.
going to throw that out.
Yeah, for sure. You want to be satisfied at the end of the day. Um, uh, so yeah, like I said, communication is very important because between client and commissioner.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I'm glad it's very positive. Like
Mhm.
this.
Yeah.
I absolutely love the Daisy. Like, it's gonna be like my favorite thing just to post in the middle of an interview with somebody. Somebody's just
Uh-huh.
really difficult. I have a troll every once in a while. I'm like, bro, you should just be like Daisy. Just be positive.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so I know we missed a bunch of your cosplays. I know you've done a bunch of other stuff.
Hmm.
I think I missed like 10 of your cosplays easily. But I do want to talk about a few other things outside of cosplay, outside of the some of your cosplays. But I am curious where you see all this going, because cosplay has gone into a, I don't want to say a bad point, but a interesting point. It's reached a, I guess, a pivotal or turning point or a shift. I'm not exactly sure what we should call it here, but clearly it has gone from, what I'm going to say is controversial is that pre-COVID, the upper echelon of the 50 cosplayers held a lot of power on a professional level. And then COVID hit, and when cons weren't happening, a lot more people were on social media. A lot more people had the ability to figure out social media. And I think those people lost power. And before, they weren't grouped together. And now the upper 50 are grouped together, collabing with each other. And there's all these other cosplayers who have now taken market share. And not necessarily of Jessica Nigeri or Danielle Di Nicole. And I know Danielle, she's been on my show twice,
Hmm.
but to the point where those people aren't getting the social media engagement that they once got before COVID. Because I think people like you, people like Stalecorn, people like Barbie Sub, Paradox Cosplay, Mangaloo Cosplay have all figured out social media and have engaged in things. I mean, Sea Turtle's another one. Yeah, I can't think of her Instagram handle off the top of my head, but she started out with like 8,000, and I think she's got like 22,000. So like all these people have taken market share away. My good friend DJ Croft is another good example where he's taken market share away from some of these top cosplayers. And so I'm really curious how you feel, because I don't know how many subscribers you got on Instagram.
So right now I have 1150. Double check real quick.
I could check two very easily. So you don't have to check. I'll just pull it up on Instagram because it's gonna prove my point. Um,
Yeah.
my point that is I'm pulling your stuff up right now. Oh, I do like that. Oh boy, I'm gonna have to buy that tomorrow. Sorry, I get distracted. There's some good stuff. Um, but not the point.
Hmm.
So you have 1,149 followers.
Yes. Hmm.
You have a market now on that. Now you're not having 100,000 people, but you obviously have a market. But then you take a bunch of you, and let's say we took 100 people who have 1,200, followers. That's a significant market.
Hmm.
And so I'm curious how you feel about that, because that didn't exist, I felt, before COVID.
No, you're right.
I think it's a good thing. Don't I think it's a
Yeah.
good thing. I am interested in complete liberation, and I am an anarcho-capitalist.
Hmm.
That doesn't mean I don't want government. It means that I want anarchy and capitalism, because
Hmm.
anarchy and capitalism is not anarchy. It's the idea that I want complete freedom and let the marks decide what the hell happened and who should rise and who should fall to the top.
Hmm.
So I am an anarcho-capitalist in this regard. It's worked well
Hmm.
for me, and it's not just Instagram and cosplay; it's everything after COVID. So I'm
Right.
curious how you feel, because and maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe I'm not seeing something that could very well be, but I think it's a good thing that the top 50 have lost power,
Yeah. I mean, I
because
can definitely.
I genuinely believe there was suppression, and I
Hmm.
genuinely believe they were holding back people from getting opportunities at cons. And now I think people are still being held back, but I think it is lessened.
Yeah. I mean, I could definitely see your point as far as that goes. I've seen a lot more, like, say, like, well known but like smaller cosplayers like be able to guest now at cons and get their names out there and stuff. So that's really awesome. You get a lot more variety of people that way, and be able to for them to share their craft as well. But I definitely
You
say,
complete the fifth. You complete the fifth. I mean, you don't have to answer this question because I get it. It's controversial. I have the ability to ask it, and I have the ability to answer it because I don't answer to anybody anymore.
yeah. But
And
I
I've
was gonna
on that, and I get that not everybody does.
Yeah, but I think things definitely were different pre-COVID as far as like the algorithm itself and how it worked compared to like nowadays where you kind of have to be creative, a little more creative as far as like doing reels, having a couple more platforms to do on here and there. So, it has changed quite a bit in that aspect, and
Let me ask
some
you
people have
this.
benefited more than others on that.
So I suck at Instagram. All right,
Mhm.
my Instagram is horrible. Instagram, I'll just put up comments and I'll put up some real stuff every once in a while, but I don't spend any time on Instagram anymore. I mean, I'll put up. I'll go through an Instagram thing where I'll put up, like 50 days worth of content, right? And I'll do it in like a week. It's
Mhm.
terrible. But I'll just like spam the shit out of it. Like I think in December last year, like I put up like I think like 15 posts every single day.
Oh yeah.
And then I did, but like, and I was speaking to somebody, and she's like, "You use Instagram in the most unique way possible," and I'm like, "I don't think you understand that Instagram is a communication tool for me.
Mhm.
It doesn't do anything for me. TikTok is helpful for me.
Right. Yeah.
TikTok is great. I will do legitly. I will do 1,500 views on TikTok on a reel, and that same reel will do like 50 on Instagram. It will do 50 on Facebook, and it maybe will do 200 on YouTube. But
Mhm.
TikTok, it works perfectly for me. It's 60 seconds, and it's legitimately it just pops up, and it's amazing. But YouTube for me is killing it on both interview levels, republishing of interview, and then micro content and breaking up clips out of an interview. I'm killing it on
Right.
YouTube right now. So like that's where I'm at is that I understand and I don't even promote my show anymore. I
Mhm.
used to promote my show. I actually grew way more by not promoting my show.
Wow. That's awesome.
Because what I figured out is that instead of promoting the show, I'm gonna tag my show correctly.
Right.
I
Mhm.
tell YouTube where I want them to put my show in a suggested video.
Mhm.
And that's what happens. And so
Oh,
like this is what I mean in which that's why I asked the question about cosplay and where you think it's going because I don't know anymore if somebody even needs to be at a con if you understand how to use Instagram, how to use YouTube, how to use TikTok because I think you could legitimately reach 1 billion people as a cosplayer, get some serious endorsement deals and if you enjoy cosplaying and you enjoy presenting your cosplay and doing some cool shit with it, and then you can make money and have sponsorships and you understand the algorithm and how to tag. I mean, I don't even know if you need to be at a con. Unless I mean, you could be at a con if you want to be, but I don't think you need to guest. I think you can make more money outside of that. And that's why I asked the question because again, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm missing the fact that if you just want to be at a con as your character, which you can't really do online, the social interaction of it. But if you want to have a huge following, you don't really need to be at a con anymore.
yeah. So I mean, there was a lot there, but
Sorry.
no, you're good. But I think where I see it going is like there's definitely potential for more people to have like sponsorships with it, or you know, things like that, where you don't have to necessarily be at a convention or have to go out of your way. You can just do it right from home. But I mean, the way I see it, for me personally, I just see it as a hobby. Um, that I mainly have like a full-time job that supports me in pretty much whatever I do. So for me, it's just fun. Like having 1150 people following me, just liking everything that I pretty much I do. Like
Is it?
it's awesome.
Let me ask this: do you find it humbling?
Yeah, yeah. It really puts things in perspective as far as like, there's like almost like a decently small sized, I don't know, gymnasium or basketball court full of people, enjoy my cosplay. You know what I mean? Like,
So I've been YouTubing, right?
uh-huh.
This year so far, I've done about 70,000 views, and
Hmm.
I have about 1,300 watch hours. Now, for a lot of people, that's nothing, right?
Hmm.
I'm like, people have spent 1,300 hours watching my shit.
Hmm.
That's kind of mind-boggling because
Yeah.
then you look at something like I'll go back to Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw is on 52 weeks and it's 3 hours, right?
Hmm.
So that is 1,500 hours and then it's six. So it's 1,500 hour, 1,506 hours worth of content. The fact that somebody is spending as much time watching Monday Night Raw for a whole year that they're watching my interviews is mind-boggling to me because I'm not Jimmy Kimmel. I'm not Joe Rogan. I'm not, Larry King. I'm not The View. I'm not, Lex Freeman. I'm not, I can't. I'm not Larry King. Even though Larry King is no longer with us, I love Larry King. I'm not
Hmm.
Howard Stern. But the fact that somebody is spending as much time watching Monday Night Raw, which is an amazing television program that's been in the air for forever, it's kind of mind-boggling when you think about it. And
Hmm.
the fact that like I have 783 subscribers who tune in, again, mind-boggling. So, that's what that is. And so, that, but again, I think it's so interesting, right? That you said it best. It puts things in perspective.
Hmm.
But to go further into this, I mean, where do you see cons going?
I think it just depends on where I'm at. So I guess for like Houston, for example, obviously we have like two big ones. We have Matsuri and Comic Palooza, and we also have like a bunch of smaller conventions as well throughout the year that that are getting pretty popular, and they're getting a lot more people going to them. So I mean, obviously it just depends on the area you're in, and you know, like how good those conventions are, because sometimes with the more fan supported cons like A-Con, for example, um, they can only do it for so long before, you know, not even not even like the sponsorships that they're able to get, are enough to support it anymore. So I think it's
Let me ask you this.
yeah.
So I had a and I'll give you my thoughts. So because I feel that Comic Cons are dying. I don't think anime cons are dying. I think anime cons are specifically designed and are niched out where they don't, for the most part, if it's a pure anime con, like Anime NYC is an anime con, right? It
Hmm.
is not a comic con. Doesn't mean you can't sell comic books there. Doesn't mean there's not comic book vendors here and there, but it's an anime con, right?
Hmm.
So, you're not going to have a DC panel at an anime con unless it's DC manga, right? But beyond that, but I feel Comic Cons are dying and they're becoming just pop culture events. And so you
Hmm.
have celebrities and you have a bunch of other stuff in play. You have wrestlers, you have, voice actors, you have some comic people, you got some other entities there. You got D&D 20, You got, I can't think of whatever else there is in play, but I think that is something that is interesting, right? Because I don't know if because New York Comic Con is not comics anymore. San Diego Comic Con is not a Comic Con anymore. It might be called that, but it's not that. It's everything but that. There's a small, small, small section of comics, but it's a pop culture event.
Hmm.
So like that's how I see cons going. And I also see that what's gonna eventually happen is that if I was speaking to Barbie Sub and then Baby Girl D, and then I was speaking to Paradox Cosplay and all those three girls and those three women are in Texas, right?
Hmm.
So I think that what they were explaining to me is that there's a lot of small cons. But when we were speaking about this and what I got out of it, maybe I misinterpreted what they were saying. But everybody could go watch it. Quick plug for me is that there's gonna get a point where if you have a con every single week, one of those cons is gonna have to die at some point because people are gonna run out of money. So I foresee a lot of cons either disappearing or forming and merging. And I actually see cons actually becoming less and less and becoming mega cons.
Hmm.
Because I don't see a position where you have a con every other week and then those tickets are 100, $150 a pop. What was it, DreamCon? Wasn't
Hmm.
it like $100 for a ticket for like a day pass?
Yeah, I think so. Hmm.
That's a lot of money. And
Hmm.
I don't know how you feel, but the COVID free money helicopter, for lack of a better word, is ending. That sentiment has ended
Hmm.
for a lot of reasons. There's three reasons why. A, money is more expensive now. People are back in the office working in some
Hmm.
capacity, which means you have to go to work. You might have work expenses. You have to pay for parking, your car, you have to pay for gas. Your car is probably wear and tear on it. And during COVID, if you were working for 2.5 years in your house and you were expecting to have 55,000 miles on a 3-year lease on your car, and now you only had 25,000, you don't have to fix your engine.
Right. Hmm.
So that's what I think, but that's just my opinion. But again, I haven't been in that con in 6 years.
Hmm. Yeah. But I definitely see where you're coming from with that. Everything's expensive nowadays, and everything, our wages haven't reciprocated with that. So it's a lot harder for people to justify going out like a Saturday or
It, it-
even a
it's also
weekend.
it's also that, but also think about this, right? You
Hmm.
have an anime con, you have a concert, you have a baseball game, you have going to the bar, or you have let's Netflix and chill
Hmm.
and let's order pizza, right? Or you have a wrestling event, or you have, a D&D or Magic the Gathering draft night. All of a sudden, there is so many options on the table, right? So next week, I'm going to the movies with my friends, right? On a
Hmm.
Wednesday. I legitimately have 20 options that all cost the same $20 on my Wednesday. So I picked one of them. Me and my friends could have gone to Magic the Gathering draft night at a comic store on Friday that week and
Hmm.
spent $20, got 3 pieces of pizza, had 2 or 3 sodas, and played Magic the Gathering until like 4 in the morning. So I mean, in that's what it is. So, but I digress. I mean, I have my opinions. Everybody can agree or disagree, but I just think things are massively expensive now. And I also think, but I don't think they're. No. Actually, I should correct myself. I don't think things are massively expensive. I think things are expensive. I think though that there's more choice,
Hmm.
and so I have a million choices, all for the same price. So that's what I think, and that's why I don't go to cons because I can get everything I want, legitly sitting in my house.
Yeah, I mean, it just definitely depends on what you're interested in nowadays. Think you could definitely be interested in different things now compared to 6 years ago. So I think
I
like
mean,
for
anime is cheaper than it's ever been.
mhm.
Mangas, if you want to read One Piece legally, it is $3 a month.
Yep.
If you want to read about 60% of the comic market, it's about $5 a month digitally.
Mhm.
So things are actually not that expensive. I can get everything I want on my iPad. Not everything, actually, that's not true. 80% of what I want I can get on my iPad for less than $30 a month,
Mhm.
which is insane. But going to a con is so expensive.
Yep.
I digress.
Yeah, that I definitely, as far as that goes, like you definitely have to be a little more picky when it comes to what events you want to go to and whatnot. Because yeah, because everything's expensive, and you gotta. There's so much options for you to do with your free time nowadays. So, you know,
I also have a gambling habit, so that probably doesn't help.
yeah.
The amount of money between Thursday and Monday that I gamble during football season is anywhere from 250 to $500 a week.
hmm
That doesn't mean I lose that money. I want to make that crystal clear. I'm very good at what I do,
Yeah.
but I need that money in my account because when there's a blowout game, I clean house.
hmm
Let's just say when the New York Giants played the Vikings, by the end of that first quarter, if you didn't put $250 on the Vikings, you were a moron. It was crystal clear. It was crystal clear. It
hmm
wasn't even a discussion. It was clear as a whistle.
hmm
Let's just say that I cleaned up on my $250, about $60. Let's just say that I did all right. And then
hmm
what did I do with my $60? Well, that's a different discussion. No, 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 no. I bought myself a six pack and then I wound up investing the rest in the stock market, which is also a different discussion. But
hmm
I figured I deserved the six pack.
Yeah. Yeah. Treat yourself.
It's all right. Everybody can make fun of me for the six pack I bought. It was a twisted tea because we're all a little twisted.
A little
Um,
bit. Oh, I am.
but that's my point is that so in case anybody hasn't figured out that I'm a political science like economic major type of guy. I'm the guy who when he sees a penny on the floor, I pick it up.
Is it heads up?
Oh, I don't care. I say now I have one less penny to get to my next million.
hmm It's a nice way of looking at it.
See, but you can only say that if you actually have a million.
hmm
See, if you only have 100,000, you could say now it's one less penny to have 100,000.
hmm
Now, if you say I have no money, I guess well now you're a penny richer.
Yeah.
It's all about positive vibes here.
It's all a matter of perspective.
No. But I'm the guy who picks up a penny. I'm like, oh man, now I need to find one less penny for my next $1,000,000.
hmm
But I digress. It was me for a while. Nothing got accomplished. Like usual on on my show. No. Again. All jokes aside, just remember that if you find an old man, hopefully it's in the Zelda game. I think he gives you a boomerang at some point, right?
No, I think if it's the first man you run into, then he gives you a wooden sword. You find
I
the
thought
boomerang in the level 1 dungeon.
so you don't have a sword at the start of the game in the first one?
Mm-mm.
Oh my god, that poor bastard Link. That poor child. I mean Zelda wasn't even in. Was Zelda in the first game?
Yes, she was at the end.
It's been a while since I played the first one.
Oh yeah.
Isn't it after the first dungeon? Can't you like go beat the eighth dungeon next?
Um, I forget, but I think you can. I know you can do it out of order because you can go after one. You can go to like 2 or 3 and beat those pretty cleanly. Um,
Because I thought you were supposed to theoretically, isn't it that if you go to like 4, I think you go to 4 after like 1, right? And then if 4 is a little bit tougher, but then you get like you get certain items in 4 that make 2 and 3 go super quick.
mhm.
Um, but again, it's been a long time since I played it.
Yeah, but I think you can access A because it's the dungeon in the bush, and you get the candle on one. I think, or 2, one of those. But oh
Like
no,
the
you can buy it from the shop. Sorry.
yeah, isn't it like I mean, again, it's been a while. My
Yeah.
favorite, I mean, I remember Minish Cap better because my
Mhm.
favorite thing in Minish Cap is that you get the lantern and then you can set the whole grass on fire.
Just watch it eat up everything.
No, it's so much easier because then it
Mhm.
reveals enemies. And then, so like, I used to love getting like the mole claws because then you could dig up rupees.
Yeah.
And then that's how you get all the statues in that game.
Mhm.
What you do is that you dig it up right by your house. You get like 20 rupees, and then you go in your house and you go out and then you do it again. And you go in your house, do it again, and then you go in your house and do it again. And then all of a sudden you have like 900 rupees. Then you got to go to the slot machine. Then you got to buy a bigger wallet, and you got to repeat it
Mhm.
again and again. And that's how I got all the statues. It took me like 7 hours.
Oh my god, just farming rupees at your house.
It was great.
Mhm.
It was like the best thing. I'm like, okay, cool. We're gonna do this. Got all the
Yeah.
statues, got all the stuff. It was great.
Mhm. Yeah, that's
I
awesome.
wanted, I wanted all like my little figurines. It was great. It's
Mhm.
lovely. It's just like, cool, we're gonna do this. And then I got it. And then you have to stop like after like 30 minutes of that, because then you gotta go through the whole thing and you gotta do it again. And it was just terrific. It's
Mhm.
very tedious. It,
Yeah.
it, it's almost as annoying as getting the mirror shield.
Mhm.
That was a pain in the ass.
Yep.
That was a pain in the ass. Cause oh my god, that just that was all those like things that were just digging.
Mhm.
Great shield, just a pain in the ass. But theoretically, you can't beat Minish Cap. You theoretically can't beat Minish Cap. Because after you beat, I think it's Ganon, right?
Or
Or is
Vati.
it Vati? Yeah. It's like Vati, and then it's like it's whatever. Not the point though. Is that just you after you beat Vati, you then get reset right before you beat him again,
Mhm.
which is such bullshit.
Yeah,
So you
that's
can't
like the old classic.
you can't even flirt with Zelda, and she can't even thank you.
Yeah.
Such bullshit. You should be able to freely roam the world. It'd be so much
Mhm.
fun. It's whatever. I have my complaints about Minish Cap. It's all right. I wrote a scathing letter.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I kind of
anyway,
like
enough of Minish Cap.
mhm. Yeah, like kind of like games nowadays where, you know, after you beat the final boss, like there's actually like a post game afterwards where you can freely go around and like
Did you
get
play
star pieces and
Cyberpunk?
everything.
Did you
So
play?
no.
Oh my god, I played Cyberpunk like San Andreas.
Hmm.
So I did level 1 and I did level 2. I knew Jackie died. I'm sorry, spoiler alert. I liked Jackie too much that I refused to go to level 4 where Jackie dies.
Hmm.
And so I started fucking around in the game. So I legitly in the game, I haven't gotten past level 4.
Oh wow.
I have so much ammunition. I legitly could shoot bolts without even looking and locking on with my handgun.
Hmm.
So I'm hiding behind something and I'm just shooting bullets and they just automatically lock onto the target and like swerve. Like,
Hmm.
you know how in the movie Wanted they did the bolt swerve?
Yeah.
That's what happens in that game. Then it gets even better. It gets even better. I then have an infinite amount of money now that
Uh-huh.
legitly that when I do beat this, I could buy anything I want to buy in that game, and every weapon upgrade I want, I'm gonna get every fucking super rare weapon I want, and I'm just like, alrighty, like what the fuck are we doing here? Like it's great.
Mhm.
And I did all these side missions, and people are like, dude, why'd you spend 50 hours doing this? And I'm like, I can't let Jackie die. He's still alive in my game.
Mhm.
So, you know, that's that. But again, I have my own opinions. But like, I love Cyberpunk because all I can do is I can just like fuck around and shoot cops. It's great. I
Mhm.
can kill civilians. I could jack people's cars. It is legitly like Grand Theft Auto all
Mhm.
over. It's
Oh yeah.
amazing. It's amazing. And the way I play it, oh, it's so good. And
Mhm.
that's what I want a Minish Cap to be after I beat Vati. I just want to roam the world of Minish Cap and have a good time. Do all the
Mhm.
side mission. No, we can't have that.
Yeah.
Broke my heart.
Mhm.
And two, maybe I need a kinstone to fix it.
Yeah. Maybe a red one.
Yeah, right, a red one. Yeah, exactly. There's so many things I could say here.
Uh-huh.
I grew up on this stuff. I grew up on a Game Boy.
Mhm. Yep, me too.
A Game Boy was like my fourth friend. I
Yeah.
grew up on a Game Boy Color. It was great. I love my Game Boy Color. It's amazing.
Mhm.
Oh man, it's just so good. But anyway, I digress. I do want to give you a chance to promote yourself, so where people find you, bother you, hit you up, check out your cosplays, support you, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, so check me out on Instagram and TikTok at Rob Ez Cosplay. Also my Facebook as well. Um, you can find me on YouTube as well. I don't really do videos anymore, but I'm always there in chat and stuff. But you can find me at Rob Ez as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
And then, as far as I'm concerned, and I've been saying it for a while, you have to go and support people you want to see more of their content get made. And so, what that means is that obviously following people on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, social media goes a long way. Liking, commenting, reaching out, saying, hey, I enjoy what you do, leaving a comment, leaving a like goes a long way in that regard. And then, furthermore, about me, I am Pop Anime Comics on Twitter/X, Pop Anime Comics on Instagram, Pop Anime Comics on Facebook, Pop Anime Comics on TikTok, Pop Anime Comics on the YouTube. And I do run an eBay store right here, everybody. So obviously look for comics and collectibles. Come shop with us on eBay at Pop Anime Comics Collectibles. And I carry some very interesting merch like this in my store. I have all 15 of these books. All 15 of these books, they're coming to my store probably this weekend. I have all 15 of these books in beautiful hollow foil as well. I bought out the print run. So I am willing to match anybody's prices on these books, which is my prices because I bought out all 15, hence why I'm offering it. I do also sell cards like this, which are very cool. So obviously, I got some John Cena stuff in there. I also tend to carry books like this and this in my store. And I do carry a lot of cool sports cards like this, which is Angel Reese, and stuff like this, and stuff like this. And this is a 101. So I do have a 101 of Tina Charles in my store right now. I do have stuff like this in my store, which are limited to tens. So I carry some really, really interesting merch in my store. Got some Aaron Judge cards. I got some, other things in there that are base relics. So you name it, I got it. Whether you're looking for comics, cards, pop Funkos, rare stuff, and if I don't have it up, feel free to ask me on eBay because I may or may not have it. And if I have it, I'll list it and I'll let you know the price. If I don't have it, chances are I probably know somebody who does, and I'm more than willing to put you in contact with them so that you can get what you want with for your collection or for whatever reason you want it. So on that note, that's kind of everything that I got going on in my world. And on that note, I'm going to let you have the final word.
yeah, so thank you very much, Andrew, for having me on. It's wonderful to chat with you and just share my cosplay journey with everyone of your listeners, and uh, hope everybody learned something today as far as like uh, how I express myself through cosplay and whatnot. So thank you very much. It was awesome.
No, I'm happy to have you on, and I don't think I could have said any better myself, and that